and capital accelerator that's coming together. And that's the aim of today. On top of it, we are not only talking about a program. Of course, we will have you access to mentorship, to role models, to everything you need, probably a potential corporates to work with, and depends on where you are, access to CTO, access to product people, access to financial people. And today is another blink for how the product program is look like. And we have Alexandra here. Please say hi so we can see you.
Hi.
Hello, hello. And we have Tina. Say hi so we can see you. Tina is expert on product growth. And we have Yana. Hi, Yana.
Hey.
And Yana, she is super expert senior for finance. And the idea is to support very early stage startups to be ready also for the growth stage, which means you need to build the fundamental basic of your team, product, financial, product development, setup the best way you can. And we want to touch this base today. This will be the focus of the discussion. So the beauty is, as Ron mentioned, this is a safe zone. Feel free to throw questions, to cut the discussion. There's no rules to be too much polite. And I know a lot of people of this audience and a lot of you ask me questions, and a lot of you also definitely fit to the program. So you can also apply, although also, Ron, by the way, important to mention that on the website, it says that today you close the registration, but it's still open. You can still apply. This is why also we posted the link here. So let's maybe start the discussion. Let's start with our speakers today. Please introduce yourself. Let's start with you, Yana. Share with us about yourself, about your journey, and definitely kind of like send us some tips, you know, what are you going to share with us today when it comes to super early stage startups, you know, even before receiving their 50K, how they can really start and build their team and their financial management in the right way.
Yeah. So hi, everyone. Have a good evening. I'm Jana. I'm a finance girl by heart, I would say. I had several callings in my life, but the main calling for my business career was setting up finance and accounting structures and companies, mainly in startups. And I figured out that there's always the same problem. Startups don't know their runway, or they get the funding, they spend the money like a drunken sailor. They have a lot of flying receipts. And my biggest learning is that you can't start early enough. 9 out of 10 startups fail, 20% roughly because of financial issues. And this is not because of the lack of cash, but really because of not having a foundation, accounting foundation, not having an overview about the financials. And what I would like to talk about with you, or to raise awareness, is that finance is, for most of you, I know, probably not a priority, but it's never too early to start. And it's even easier to start with one employee, or from day -5, so to say, to have everything in order and everything clean, that you avoid any risk with tax authorities, potential investors, potential auditors, save money with a tax advisor because you have a clean structure. And yeah, what I can offer is how to set up finances, how to make it very easy and crisp. I can offer a toolbox, I can offer some sessions, and yeah, you can ask me whatever you want to ask, doesn't matter which stage you are in. So I'm happy to support here with any financial recommendations.
Thank you, Jana. Let's move on to Tina. Hi, Tina.
Hi, Mali, and hi, Jana. Hi, everyone. So I'm Tina. I am the co-founder of Useristics. So I started this company this year, though we've been brewing this idea since last year. My co-founder and I kind of met when I worked with this wonderful startup back in India called Ziptile. And that got acquired by Twitter. And it was one of the poster childs of India, where a startup was, where a small, tiny startup of 50, 60 people got acquired by large social media company. And my co-founder, Paul, has a lot of experience in research. And my experience comes in from growth and how to help startups and products build, get traction, and what is the product market fit, and then on how to really go about growing the product, whether it's related to product-driven growth or marketing-driven. So I have growth expertise at different fronts. And very recently, I worked with Babbel and also Preply. So language learning has been at the heart of my work, especially in Berlin. And at Useristics, we basically help startup founders and their teams kind of understand who they're building for, what problem they're really solving, so they really can focus on the problem and the users, and then not have to chase money. Money will chase them afterwards because they're doing just so well and they've figured out their problem. So that's me in a nutshell. Happy to chat more later. What's early stage? How does traction look like? What is product market fit and growth? Super happy to take those questions. And later on, I will also share my calendar, some discovery calls where you can just chat with me, and we could also chat one-on-one.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tina. So I think you understand that the idea is to expose you for experts. Of course, feel free to approach afterwards to all of us, and definitely being under great program that can, I would say, provide capital, but also collaborate with us, partners with us, to make this cohort diverse and be really, really significant for the founders. The third one is Alexandra. Alexandra, how are you here?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, how are you?
I'm good.
Perfect. So Alexandra have a special role today, and although she is a great female founder, super early, that we had the lucky to know you in person as well during the WLOUNGE Their Leadership Retreat. You're also alumni from the SIBB last cohort. So we would love you also to share a bit about yourself, your experience. What are you building? You know, maybe people here in the audience can help you. What do you need right now? And definitely some tips about the program that people that trying to apply will know what to do, what not to do, where to put the focus, or maybe, what to highlight during the application as well.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, hi, nice to see you all. I'm Alexandra. I'm a co-founder of Sermones AI, and we're a pre-seed startup that makes a Siri-like virtual assistant for the automotive industry. So personally, I'm a social scientist. I worked in project management, fundraising, and translations. And then my co-founders got into the SIBB batch in April. That's when I also was asked to join, which was very great so far. And what I can advise, so I came a bit later. So for the application, probably Ron is the better person to ask. But overall, I would really suggest to apply because it has helped us a lot to move forward. So
with what can you say 2 things that it's really changed the startups, changed the access that you get? What is it that it's helped you a lot?
Well, the first 3 months are also very focused on valuable workshops. I think we had them 2 or 3 times per week. It's all the network that was created with that the workshops are basically covering all topics relevant to an early stage startup. So, and they were very interactive. So it wasn't lectures, it was workshops where we gave each other feedback, where the coaches were able to give us feedback, and we were also able to still reach out to them afterwards. So yeah, really from how to raise funding to product development to accounting to team management to personal development. We also had a couple of sessions in the park. And so it's really the whole package.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And definitely we will get back to it. Is anyone has a question so far to Tina, Jana, Ron, myself, Alexandra?
Yes, Simone has had her hand raised a while.
Yeah,
So
please.
is
Simona.
this still current?
Yeah, hello, thank you. Thank you very much for coming back to me. My question is, for example, is it possible if you're just founding a company to apply so that we haven't registered in the register now? So is it still possible, or is it possible to apply? Because I think the registration is in December or early January.
Yeah, if you have not registered your company with the Gewerbeamt, then you're eligible.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, if there's any question, please join during the discussion. And let's talk very openly also, Jana and Tina. When we build super early stage companies, and I've been there, built companies, did a lot of mistakes. I would say today what we are mainly doing is save other people the same mistakes. So sometimes you put a lot of efforts in the product, make it super over-engineered, definitely the German way. And until it's going to the market, it's either too late because someone already did something faster than you, or either it's too perfect, so you cannot change it too much. And Tina, I would love to hear. I see you already smiling because we know it's happening a lot. What do you think about this? And I mean, let's try to give some tips and do and don'ts while sharing, your expertise here.
Yeah, I mean, while you said it, we're in the middle of phase 1 where we are advising these startup founders. And they've received some seed funding. They've been working on the product for a few months now, almost a year, and it's full of features, but no traction. And then now we basically come in to kind of go back to the drawing board. And one of the things that I keep hearing from especially the CPO saying that, what if you have to get let go of all these features? I've spent so much time, there's so much money. And what I see underlying below that is the fear that I have to let go of all of this. All of this trouble can be saved when, there are a couple of steps that you can take. One is be really, really close to the user, where you're open to listening what they have to say, and not listening what you want to hear, but truly listening, and where the user interviews are 90-95% the user talking and you talking less of it. Some of the recorded calls that we heard was mostly founders so passionate about their product. It's like, it's very simple. This is how you click here, and then you move here. It's so nice. And you've already biased that whole interview because the user kind of feels stupid because he or she can't see the simplicity that you see it. And I think the main point here is that really understand the problem that you're trying to solve one problem at a time, not to do too much, build a little smaller sprints, ship something out, get feedback, go back to the drawing board, and then figure out how it moves forward from there. But really not trying to do too much. You can always keep adding. But the other part is that you get so attached to what you're building. So how do you really detach yourself? And I can tell, even though I have this expertise, as I build heuristics, I still need a third opinion from outside saying that, hey, I'm too attached to it. I can't see the flaws. Can you help me? So it happens with the best of people, no matter your expertise. And you really need someone on the outside to talk about it. So there's no shame, and you shouldn't feel that you have all the answers. You're not going to have it. You never will. So don't be hard on yourself. But of course, this is a very long, broad topic. If anybody has questions. I think that's the best way to get super sharp and tactical and pointed in answering, coming up with tips and ideas in the context of your problem. Yeah.
Thank you, Tina. I just want to, make a point more in what you said. So that is our experience in the program, that to bring, the most important thing is to bring the founders to accept that it is better to have their idea challenged and even destroyed, to have the, okay, no, that doesn't work, let's try something else, than to get some, positive feedback all the time. Oh yeah, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. So that doesn't help them. So to have this, this learning, that you need to get, some opinion that challenges your work. That's the important thing.
And on the same time, Tina, while you are talking about this, let's say you do not have $500,000 in budget right now to bring like super senior CTO, and you do all these mistakes. So it's taking more time to build the right product or the better version of the product. What would you suggest to early stage startup? How to start? Where to start from?
Yeah, I'm assuming that the starting point will either be that you have an idea or you have a personal problem that you have faced, and then you really need to find if there's critical mass who don't just have the problem but also will pay for it, because eventually you got to make money, and if you don't make money you won't get investment, and then it's the wrong road. The days of just user growth are quite gone behind. At some point you have to monetize your audience nonetheless. The best way to start it, if you don't have a CTO or a technical person, there are many no-code tools that you should look up to, depending on what you're doing, whether a lot of people have taken things like email list building or some sort of a token money to validate their ideas, to say if people are really going to take the pains to remove their credit card and put in those details, because that's still a friction point nonetheless. There are certainly ways to do that, but one is also to figure out that how many of your is the problem that you're solving for, or the startup that will solve, is it big enough? And 99.99% of the time, this problem you start with completely changes face, form by the time you really get traction, and going with that realization and mindset that it is going to change and it is going to be different, and you have to let go of a lot of things that you will begin with. That mindset alone will prepare you for the many favorite features that you thought would be the star, but your user really doesn't care whether it exists or it disappears tomorrow. They won't even notice it. So, and that happens all the time, because no matter what, you are not the user of the product, and the user's context changes and is different for a German user versus an Indian user versus a US user versus someone who's out of Brazil. Their phones are different, their incomes are different, their conditions are different, how they use and apply the product is different. So starting from one market, one problem, usually a segment or two would be the best place to begin.
Thank you. I want to have another question, but it's for all of you. When you start with one market, this is my making me crazy to only hear it, but let's go for it afterwards. Jana, you're coming also from Omnio, which is a very significant company already, but you are there super early stage. We actually met not even in Berlin, in Brussels, in the European Commission, and we all know that it's also a female founder there. So it's a lot of the why is there, and we are very proud of having this company, in Berlin as a success story. But I want to ask you to share with us some kind of like probably things that you took out of this process, because right now you want to really support younger generation, let's call it, early stage startups that starting, establishing their own companies, because you saw so many things, although superstar founders, great company, very successful, but still running smartly the financials, it is an obstacle. It is a challenge. I mean, we all facing it in all layers and level. So maybe you can share more as well, like how would you say that it's the right approach to start with, you know, even the smaller things, and to get ready for the bigger one?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really just to start, because when I joined the company, it was roughly 1 year old. And yeah, this is a story I'm telling always. The first thing I bought was a hole puncher. And this is, you can imagine how it was looking like in this company. And I mean, luckily the founders quickly, I mean, after 1 year, they realized, yeah, they have a great idea. The product is well developed, but they cannot take any decision because they don't have any numbers, and they don't have any accounting. They don't have any accounting guidelines. And yeah, it was impossible to take decisions. They were not able to compare their budget or their business plan with any actuals, because the accounting was just not working. And yeah, what I would recommend really from day one, and it's as simple as is, spend some thoughts. Where do I want to book my few invoice? I mean, at the beginning, you will have maybe 10 invoices a week, maybe even a month, to define from day one, where do I want to book it, to which cost center I would book it. Is it a marketing expense or is it an HR expense? And this can grow with the time, with the number of receipts. But if you define it from day one, you know exactly what is in which account. You are able to compare your business plan or your budget, if you have one already, with those actuals. And another thing, for instance, would be have a folder structure. Buy some folders, buy some dividers, buy a hole puncher. In Germany, you will receive paper. It's not, we are not at this point yet where we can avoid this, but don't let the paper fly around. Put it in some structure. And the same thing, I mean, everybody is laughing at me when I ask them, do you have a digital folder structure? Everybody says, yes, I have. But I have never seen a good digital folder structure that if a new employee is joining the company, can find easily things. Then there are files like final 1, final 2, final 12, final, and nobody knows at the one what is the latest file or where is it filed. So really think about a file name, put a date in front, and everybody knows what is the latest file. It's really as simple as is. Have a folder for marketing, for finance, for GDPR, for accounting, maybe have years. And yeah, as simple as this is already a good start.
So yeah, because there are some products in the market, maybe you can share what you've built, because you actually took all these ingredients to make something different, something easier. Maybe you would like to share some words, but before that, Ariella, you had a question. I saw that you raised your hand.
Yeah, sorry. So I was now I have a different question. Because it looks like you can't do the start if you had the startup grant through the Arbeitsamt, that you can't qualify for the program. Is that correct?
Yeah, it depends if it's, you know, let's talk about it directly. So, you know,
Okay.
They want just to avoid that people are doubly supported. So
okay, it has been several months since that has ended for sure for me.
Yeah, but if it's for the same use, for the same project, then it doesn't look good. If it's, you know, for something completely different, then you might still be eligible.
Okay, so then maybe this is not for us, because right now we have no income and we have gone past that point, and yeah, and so I mean, it used to be a year, right? And now it's only 6 months. And then this program is 8 months. So it's even longer than the one from the Arbeitsamt. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah, maybe just send me an email and we just have a phone call
Okay.
tomorrow and we sort it out.
Take it.
Okay.
Absolutely. Jana, back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, what I did, because I mean, I did this this folder setup, budget planning, cash forecasting several times now, and I wondered, why is there nothing around? I didn't understand where is a toolbox, where is a playbook that we can use, and not to invent everything from scratch. There was nothing, so I invented it by myself. And yeah, I offer a toolbox that has all of this available in 10 steps, to come in 10 steps to a crisp and easy accounting process. It starts with getting the foundation right, having a good accounting hygiene, offering some accounting guidelines, why we need a travel expense guideline from the beginning. So it offers a travel expense guideline template. It offers a budget template. It offers a cash forecast template. So in 10 easy and crisp steps to have a round thing, I would say, around accounting financing, that the guys or the finance guy or the founder can really focus on cracking the hard nuts, because this is what you should do. And this is what everybody should spend their time with. It's not finance. You should spend your time or think about a format or how to create this file and how to create that file. So there is a toolbox around. I will share the link as well here in the chat, and maybe even afterwards. And yeah, I'm happy to discuss this as well offline or later within this talk if it fits. And yeah, so there is a toolbox around to support.
Also feel free to put your email in the link so people can really approach you afterwards. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my question for all of us, and also you, Alexandra, here, is like Tina mentioned, focus on one market. And probably she mentioned that in a good way, I would say, know your customer best, or know what they need, or color wise, like in China, it's like everything is red if you want to be a positive feeling and so, but this is actually something that I would like to challenge the discussion, and everyone are welcome here, of course, to share their own perspective. Most of the German startups, definitely early stage, feel much comfortable to start with German markets or maybe DACH area, but eventually in the long run, they are becoming very local, too local, and it's very, very hard for them to really build significant companies. So I would say, from my perspective, all startups that I'm working with, we say, think big, think global. You cannot lay on one market. Most of the product cannot lay on one market. And I want to hear all of you, also Alexandra, from your own perspective and running your early stage startups, and also financial way, you are starting to receive also invoices from the outside. It's definitely different management. And of course, Tina, what did you mean when you say start with one market?
Yeah, so should I go for that?
Big time.
Okay, so one of the things is, my co-founder has a quote which I'm very, very fond of, and he summarizes it so well. It's not what you build, it's who you build for and how they apply your product that really matters. So for example, let's say you've built a product in Germany and you want to go to India. You obviously need paying customers, so you need payment terms. But the payment and monetization model and payment methods in Germany versus in India are completely different. India's gone cashless. You can actually pay with your mobile number and have mobile wallets, and it's not Apple Pay. And Germany is just coming to Apple Pay. We all, at least in Berlin, within Berlin, you will have pockets where you can pay with your mobile wallet and credit card, but you go a little further away from it. And then you're like, okay, we only take cash. it doesn't work like that in global markets. And even though you can, traction can be defined in many ways, but if you say website visits, it's traction, not really. You can get a lot of traffic, but the conversion rates for Germany will be very, very different from any other market, like in India. In Germany, one tip is, or Germany or DACH regions, is if people are very privacy conscious, so they won't give email IDs early on unless they are really, really confident, or they are very, very close to making a payment or moving to the next step. Whereas in India, they will give you, and even in Brazil or South America, they will freely give you their email IDs because they hunt for deals. They want all the information before you can make purchase decisions. So if you don't know these insights, and this is just one of the many hundreds, and of course for your startup, your product, your team, your market, your competitive environment, and legislations, operations, financial accounting, legal, I can go on. It will differ. And with so many pieces to keep in mind, if you haven't done your research early on, you will end up losing focus from the core product and the problem you're solving, and be busy with accounting matters that you did not think about because you were so busy scaling without really preparing. It's always an expensive proposition to not prepare and just be in a hurriedly scale to a new market and then realize that you are in the wrong market. Imagine the pain. I've been there, I've seen it, and it's not fun at all.
Thank you, Tina. Jana, what do you think about this? And by the way, any question, please jump in and just ask questions.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't after Tina talking, I forgot what was the question about.
You remember we said like focus on one market. So even financially wise, you need to know how to work with other markets, how to receive other markets invoice, and also write invoice to other markets. But the big question is why actually, and how you set yourself as best way to think global and not necessarily only to think local.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, at the beginning, in my opinion, you would not start globally, right? I mean, I have never seen it before that you directly start globally. I mean, you would always, or what I have seen so far, I would always start on one market to understand what is going on and to take the first decision. So what we did in my current startup is really we focused first on the German market. We understood, okay, it's going well. We focused on Austria, DACH region. Okay, then went to UK. Now we start in US. So maybe this could work with some other models to start globally, but the experience I made in the last couple of years was always to start on one market. In terms of invoices or finance, I don't see a big thing here because, yeah, I mean, you will know the tax rules, but this your tax advisor will know. So I don't see a big thing here financially wise. It's rather than setting up maybe subsidiaries and other entities, are all the legal things. And yeah, but this is not the first thing you think about when starting a new product or a new market. I mean, yeah, you should really focus on the business idea, on the idea itself, on the business development, and then one step after another.
So it's good to know that financially wise, it's not a big deal to work globally or locally early stage.
No, it's rather a legal thing, I would say.
Yeah.
So Yasmina has got a question, yes.
Yeah.
Hello, hi everyone. First of all, thank you very much for organizing this and for all your guests that provides very useful insights. I would like to ask a question related to product market fit. Many times I hear, and it is very much important to understand your potential clients, but how do we do this if we don't yet have customers? How to learn what is their preferences before really making this more detailed product. Are there, I know about focus groups, but are there any tools or how we ask questions? Yeah, this actually is still an enigma for me.
Can you share
Thank
more
you.
about your product so we can even answer specifically?
It is it's more idea and mock-up, let's say, platform for renting sustainable fashion. So it's from sustainable fashion. You probably already, there are some on the markets. So I would focus on the similar. As I see, there's still place and for this grow, and there's still need, I would say, if we want to promote this circular economy.
So what is the question? How you reach out to your users?
Exactly, and so I did a survey on 400, let's say, participants about preferences of renting clothes and for example, what type of clothes they would prefer. So from that side, I gained some insights. But then how actually further to get these details about if they really want to rent. So the idea is good, everybody likes it, but how do I know if they really, from this liking it, to actually take action and do use it in a regular in regular life?
Yeah,
Mali, I can take that question if you want. Is it Yasmina?
Yes, this is how I pronounce in my country, Yasmina, but
Okay. Yeah. So so product market fit is a very common question. I think it's the most popular question I get all the time. First of all, first feedback for anyone heading towards product market fit at very, very early stage, please do not use surveys. That's just the wrong tool. You should be using qualitative interviews aggressively and only that in the beginning, because surveys, the way you look at surveys is primarily, it's a statistical point. So you'll get a percent, you'll get a stat, but what are you going to do with that? Then what? That then what question and what to build, your survey is not going to answer. The survey is going to answer that much later when you need more critical mass and you have something really tangible to then go and ask very specific questions. So my recommendation would be to have some sort of a hypothesis or idea, which I think you already do have for sustainable fashion. Who is your ideal user or customer, or who do you think it is? The way I suggest and advise startups is that you have to look at two primarily points. One is a user and one is a customer. The user could be, let's say, I am buying clothes, so I will pay with my credit card, but my daughter might be the user who is wearing them and is not really paying for it. So both of their mindsets and decision points and user journeys are going to be very, very different. And having some sort of an idea is important. Once you have decided who they are, then you have to find them and do some qualitative interviews. The qualitative interview should ideally answer certain questions. And basically, you need to understand what is the problem you're trying to solve, which basically means maybe it's a problem that others have already solved it, and you have a better idea or a better way or a better pricing, or there's some sort of a hypothesis. And then do maybe 6-8 interviews. That's all you need to really get started with, depending on how many types of users you have.
6 to 8.
That's it. Yes.
Okay.
That's not much. And focus groups don't get into it at all. Actually, people complicate the product market fit process way more than it's actually needed. Don't bother with tools. So your best tool you can use is Zoom calls. Just make sure you're recording your calls. Make sure you have some sort of a disclaimer before saying that, hey, can I record the call? Then once you record, once you hit record, you say, thank you for giving me the permission to record. And then have very short interviews. Try to give them some sort of compensation if possible. And I don't know if you were there in the earlier part of my conversation, 90 to 95% of that, whatever, 45-minute interview should be the user talking, and you should just be listening. Try to keep it unaided as much as possible from the question standpoint. And that should roll you into a direction. Once you have the first set of interviews, you have you need to go and do these interviews with a clear idea of what questions you want answered by those interviews. Don't just go ahead and let's have a chat with you and let's have coffee. No. That's not what we do.
True.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I want to add one thing. So all of the things Tina said, or just in a nutshell, what you can, it's my personal background. So what you can learn during a long study. My advice would be get someone on your team that has the user experience usability background. So it's an UX researcher, and this person knows what it's about, or maybe you get a student that is learning about it. And then you can't get this knowledge cheaper, and it gets you a quick start ahead of everyone else who has just technical developers. So that's my advice.
Thank you. Actually, I did partner with the student on the, but it was survey, so I had to look for interviews. Thank you very much.
Perfect. I want to jump to Alexandra a bit because, Alexandra, you are only on your early stage, and I'm sorry for sharing this again and again, because this is your role in the discussion. And we would love to hear, as Jana mentioned, financial, and Tina talked about product. Can you share some mistakes that you felt or you feel that you did, and during the program, maybe some mentors or the team or the coaches or someone really supported you with this? Because we see a lot of shifting, some startups coming with idea, with the mission and with the storytelling, but during the program they're really I would say even pivoting sometimes, exactly because of those reasons. Is there anything that you would like also to share with the people here?
Well, one assumption that we had that connects to the question before of the market, we actually, we wanted to really explore Germany, but we also realized, okay, thinking big makes total sense. So many times I got the recommendation now, also during the fundraising, actually looking for investors, hey, look in the US. It's much easier, it's more hands-on, and it's also more money. So that was kind of one of the moments where we continuously were like, well, but we want to look here. And just today, again, I got the recommendation. And what also fits into that is a bit, so we started out with a number of use cases, and we stick to them. And then we kept it more broad, and that kind of also led to then people that we just networked with. So for example, a lawyer, I would have never thought that a lawyer would find an intelligent assistant useful, but the lawyer approached us and was like, hey, can you please develop this for me? Because I have tons of documents. They have to be digital, of course. And he really wanted the assistant to find the dates in his documents. So it's also kind of like being open-minded enough to let people also develop their own ideas with your product. So that's what I think is very important. And during the SIBB program, so every startup also gets a mentor, which is pretty cool. So ours was Olaf Kehrer from the O&O software. And we got the chance to have a lot of mentoring meetings with him. And it's really like the same safe space where you can literally ask anything. All the things that didn't work out, did work out. And a lot of the times it's also like you really got to sit down with people and listen a bit to them because they have experience. So it's really, yeah.
So you find it helpful as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. We have here in the audience also Elisa. And Elisa, I would love you to share, yes, you. I would love you to share your story and your need, because first of all, it can be very relevant to the program. And second, we are speaking about either go global, either go local. And I think you bring all of it together. So maybe you can do us some favor here and share with us some of your, experience, and definitely also ask directly, because Ron is here and I know you wanted to ask some questions. I know I'm pushing you right now, but also like if your product and the product that you're building right now can fit the program as well.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Mani, for opening the space. So what I'm dealing with, and actually it's interesting to listen in, I'm having the customer base and I need to build the product. So I'm looking for money, I'm looking for a team, and I'm also looking towards developing a specified product that helps better sustainable decisions in the healthcare procurement field. So this is definitely something which is European-wide. And I would love to even see it in a global way, because for me, this is about bringing in circularity and sustainability in the healthcare sector by making better use of medical devices from the Western world, and then share that with the developing countries, looking into Africa, looking into Latin America, and also looking into the Asian parts. But that requires, first of all, a better understanding for healthcare procurers, how to take decisions, how to buy more sustainable, and that requires a lot of technology. So I see myself as an aggregator, as an orchestrator of technical solutions, and I quite liked Jana's approach of offering a toolbox to procurers to actually define their sustainable strategy that helps them buy greener, I would say. And this is something I'm building out of an organization, which is a non-for-profit organization, that we have come together a couple of different experts across, well, actually across the globe. Sounds big, but it comprises a GPO in healthcare from Canada, another one from the US, one of the biggest ones actually, a couple of solution providers for CO2 measurement, for frameworks on sustainable procurement from the UK, looking into net zero project with the NHS, and also the GPOs, which are group purchasing organizations, and super interesting seeing them as multipliers, because they actually help hospitals to better purchase and to get better prices. And what you have been saying before, Jana, was very intriguing to me, because here we have the same challenge. So procurers do not have the insights of what they're buying when it comes to price, and they even have less the insights of when it comes to sustainability. So helping that process of advancing is my mission. Looking into other industries where already the technology is in place, adopting it actually for the healthcare part. So I'm not reinventing something, I'm using what is there and adapting it to the needs for the healthcare part.
So what do you think? I mean, because you mentioned like the foundation, but eventually you're doing kind of like spin-off, you're building a super early stage product startup that will be totally different. And maybe Ronnie is here also to do some kind of like a debate on this, if it can fit the program. But on the same time, you also mentioned, you go global, or you like in Berlin, so you are aiming to start locally and then to go globally. What is the strategy there?
Well, I'm based in Berlin, and obviously very interested to build that ecosystem across the Berlin and Brandenburg region. I'm originally from Brandenburg, and I would love to see especially the smaller hospitals in the Brandenburg region to be a part of it, because I think just due to the big, federal state, there is other problems to tackle when it comes to digitalization in procurement. So it is about ecosystem thinking, about collaboration. So I'm happy to start off within that region, but I really need to think globally. And for me, the next phase would be European, because that network is already there and people are waiting for these solutions to actually implement. So it's very pragmatic for me in the end.
Juan, what do you think?
Yeah, sounds interesting. So yeah, for me, I don't know if, how early stage this project is, but for me, in the program, the natural start would be, we have this network in Berlin-Brandenburg to test technology and market approach, and reaction of customers, German customers in Brandenburg, and then move on out from there. So that would be my thinking.
And is it a challenge that we're not properly building our own technology, but that we're actually building a compound of different technological solutions?
It's actually, what deep tech, we love to have really deep tech projects, but in the end, as long as you are using some technology and you have to innovate on this somehow to get the product, then that's fine.
Okay.
So, but it's just what I think it's best described as what we don't want is just another online shop, just another platform for selling sneakers or selling whatever. So
okay.
Just to have
something
new,
Yeah, thank you.
Something new, something sustainable, something that improves people's life. We, in the end, it's all up to the jury and team fit and
Okay.
Azadeh has raised her hand a while ago. Does it still fit, or is it later?
Yeah, well, my question is like going back to the team, number of the team members, and also what are your tips for getting the further the next level? So right now I'm just like busy with the business side and also with the product and operation, and I also have another team member is working on the content creation and business development. And we are also in touch with a third person, which is going to be, hopefully we'll find a synergy between us. And then he will be one of our co-founder or team member as a developer. So I'm just kind of wondering.
2 to 3 persons are perfect.
But right now we cannot name him because we haven't found any just like common ground right now, because we are just kind of trying to get to know each other and see whether we can work on each other or not.
You still have time, just 1st of February, so contracts needs to be signed late January, so you still have time just apply and just get him into the video, whatever, and then we will see.
All right, perfect, thank you.
All right, but back to content, so about finance and product.
Yes, exactly. So let's go back to challenges. I really want the people to take a lot of takeaways regarding mistakes that they might be able or might do when they just don't have like the expert or the expertise yet, because it's super early. So I can tell you, for example, as being serial entrepreneur, I definitely run for the wrong money, my first company. And the reason was because it just was like there super early, great name, great investor, and eventually we needed to buy him out. So another value that I see in this process is that there's no equity. It's like, I would say, great money with a lot of I would say support and community support, and also expert and program behind you. And I would love Jana and Tina also to mention like mistakes that you saw or you did yourself as well during very early stage, because when you don't know it, you cannot even assume that it will be a mistake. And then you start to really fundraise and to meet the first business angel, potentially can give you some money, but then you see like tons of a mass of paperwork and product that went like different direction on the same time, or money that spent the wrong way on the development. And this is the thing that as early as you understand that, you will run your company potentially faster to a significant success. So maybe you start, Jana.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of raising money, it's really important that the investor fits yourself, that you have a good basis, that you it's like really finding a partner, finding the love of your life, maybe.
100%.
Because I mean, if you have a startup which is creating impact, then an investor who wants to have a quick or a big growth rate is for sure the wrong one, because he will push you. Yeah, maybe as well you have to buy him out. If you have a startup with and it's coming more and more, and luckily with impact, sustainable, different investors needs to be found, because I mean there's still a lot of VCs company. They want to have the high growth. They are only looking for recurring revenue. This is what they are looking at. They want to have a big return on invest in a very short period of time. There are still the SIBB rules. I don't know if you say it in English. That you have, and I don't know, in 5 years you have to get out with 250%. These are for sure then the wrong ones. So you have to think about before. Maybe you have a list already. Which business angels, which investors, which VC funds could be interesting. So here I would really spend a lot of thoughts. And as Mali said, don't take every money you can get. I mean, I know it's difficult to get fundraising, but it's as well very difficult if you have the wrong investor who's pushing you all the time, who wants reporting every week, who's just like really annoying. And it's important that you have somebody you can exchange with, you can talk to, you trust as well. I mean, this is a very important fact. And yeah, he's not, I mean, there will be a lot of ups and downs, and he's as well supporting you during your downs, and is not then starting to push you and push you and push you when your startup doesn't have such a good time. So it's, yeah, in my opinion, very important.
I mean, eventually, Jana, you know, investors want to see numbers. Numbers goes very well with finance, but it's showing finance even early how you manage the company. Even if you have only 50K, what have you done with this 50K? Where you put each euro? Basically, do you know where, you know, each euro goes or went? And do you know how you actually manage the team? How much salary you take for yourself? I mean, maybe you can share with us what's happening with founders or founding team, that they are not even aware that this can be a deal breaker in the longer term, when they really need, you know, this 1.5 million and on, because then they will have to restructure everything and cover all these mistakes and missing expenses.
Yeah. I mean, what lets an investor struggle is if you don't feel comfortable with your numbers. And I promise you, they can feel it. They can smell the fear if they see that you don't know what you are talking about. And I mean, at the beginning, you should know everything in your company. Of course, there is one point where you don't know anymore every receipt, and where you don't know every euro, where is it going. But at the beginning, you should know where the money is going. You should know which suppliers you have. You should have a simple P&L that you should understand. And if you don't know what is a profit and loss statement, if you don't know what is a balance sheet, take a course, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, finance for non-finance people. There's a lot on the market. Take a coach for this, because it's really important that you understand those terms, and what is the cash flow, what is the P&L, what is the balance sheet. If you know this, it's already good. And you have to know what's going on in your company. If investor is asking you about revenue, about growth, about, maybe he will use abbreviations like ARR, annual recurring revenues, MRR, monthly recurring revenue. You should know these kind of things. And maybe it sounds overwhelming, but at the beginning, but I promise you it's not. It's simple if you just start from scratch and if you do it from the beginning. So understand what's going on in your company. And this is what investors are looking at. Of course, there won't be a profit. This is for sure. I mean, nobody is expecting this, but be self-confident in talking about your loss and know where, why is a loss and where is the money going. And this is what is the best thing. I mean, have a story for the investors, have a little reporting. It can be just a simple email, lowlights, highlights, and this is what creates trust, and they will always help you if they are sure you know what you are talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really want to support this. That's what we experienced in our program. So early stage startups are often surprised that they are expected to do business planning and numbers and why in detail. But after they got the lessons, they got the workshops and the coachings, maybe Alexandra can tell us a bit about it. They're really happy, and they really find that they made a big step forward. So yeah, everything you said, and maybe Alexandra can tell us a bit about business planning and numbers and how it was for her to to deep dive into this, and if they got any benefits from that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, running a startup is quite an uncertain thing. So having a little bit of certainty with the numbers that you have is always a good thing, because if you can, as Jana said, if you already start earlier, you don't have to do it later. So that's also going to save you somebody who has to do this in retrospective. And we had, I think that was pretty much at the beginning of the program, we had some deep dives into all sorts of business plans, how we actually make the business model canvas. And then we later went into financial planning. And towards the end, we also had a look at like term sheets with investors. So I think we got a really good package of all of that. And there was always the option of like get further coaching and have also our business plans reviewed. So
how much effort you really put on this in a very early steps, Alexandra?
I mean, it's good to have these documents. So we really focus that they're just there and you develop them further and further along the way, right? So I think the end of the year is a good, so right now I'm checking the finances and all the invoices and everything because it's the end of the year. You also want to start into the new year with like a clean environment. So that's a good thing, but the basis was already there. So it was like from the very beginning, we found like a folder where we said, okay, we're going to collect this.
Great. I mean, I think the reflection as a founder, it's like, do you really know where each euro went and why? Because back to what Jana mentioned in terms of the storytelling, there is a storytelling and there are numbers that backing the storytelling. Because if you say like, we needed to search the market to make sure that the product is needed, so you can see in the numbers that a lot of money went to what Tina mentioned, not a survey, but like understanding the market, and it's cost money, it's cost effort. And then it totally makes sense that you are showing that also some capital went to this direction and it's backing your story. So I think it's like all really should be aligned. Tina, would you like to add on this?
Yes, I want to, because one thing I missed in my intro is that I'm a second-time founder. My first startup was exactly 10 years ago when we started a marketplace called Natural Mantra back in India. I had a marketing background. My husband had a product background, so we were co-founders. But what we didn't have a background was on retail. And retail is a very cutthroat business. There's shipping involved, there's a lot of cost, so investment is inevitably required. We got some angel seed funding, made multiple naive founder mistakes, and learned it the hard way. Even though I have an accounting background, I was not comfortable with the cash flow statement. I was not comfortable with the balance sheet. It was a hot mess. And one of the key things that I learned was that as a CEO or as a co-founder, there are things that's going to be your comfort zone. There are things that you're going to hate it. You don't want to see it. You will wake up every morning and say, I'll do it tomorrow. And then weeks will pass and months will pass. But as long as you understand that this is something that you don't know, that is 50% of the battle won. Then get a coach, get someone who understands whether it is someone like Yana, for example, who really, she seems super sorted. She knows the startup language. She will come in 1 hour with her is going to be super packed with do this, don't do this. And that will be one of the best investments you've ever made. By the way, I don't know Yana that well, so I'm just saying that it's not that I'm trying to promote her, but I'm just saying that in the beginning, when I tried to do it all by myself and I said that, oh, I'm an accounting graduate, I can definitely sort this out. But the business language was very, very different. And also the angel investor was making me feel a lot uncomfortable by asking tougher and tougher and tougher questions. Well, one way to look at it is maybe they wanted to make me strong, but it wasn't helping me. It wasn't giving me any motivation at all. And then we got someone who was very kind, who was nice as an accountant and at a startup friendly price. And then I made it a point every other Thursday, we used to sit together line by line item. What is this? What does this mean? How does it impact? And then once I got comfortable with that map, now, no matter what you put on the debit or the credit or a profit or what is an asset and what is a liability, it didn't matter because whatever you put it, the fundamentals don't change. But you have to invest the time in getting comfortable with what's making you uncomfortable, because that's not going to change as you go. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get more complicated. From 50,000, you're going to go to 5 million. And then what? Now you have more numbers to deal with. So that's what I wanted to say. So don't be penny voice. I was writing down all my learnings, like don't be penny voice pound foolish. That 1-2 hours with a coach who will come in and say, coach, trainer, expert, whatever you want to call them. They will come in and tell you all the mistakes you should avoid, and you will save yourself hours. And most of all, mental health is important because you need to stay motivated to get up and do your work and not fall sick because the buck stops at you.
That's great tips. Alexandra, would you like to say something before we move to the next question?
Yeah, I think just to add on top, just ask anybody. There can always be a learning from literally anybody. We also live in a time of LinkedIn. We have the internet. We can reach out to each other even when we don't know each other. Yes, yeah, you have to be uncomfortable with a no or no answer, but like everything above that is already a gain. So
agree. And I will tell you more than this. We always speak about the runway, and I'm not sure in early stage you really understand what is runway. So maybe let's go to the fundamental things. Yana, I think here you can bring a lot of value, how really startups should understand they received the 50K, it's in the bank. Do and don'ts. What is runway, and how you even measure for how long it can fit, and when is the right moment to think about financial and go outside to fundraise?
Yeah, I mean, at the pre-seed, seed, at early stage, the runway is probably the most important KPI, I mean, in my opinion, because the runway tells you how long will your money last. So if you receive 50K, you should exactly know when the last cent will be used, and you should know it not 2 weeks before, because probably you know already that fundraising is not done within 2 months, because maybe you find quickly an investor, but in Germany, the notary, the due diligence, all the legal things, contract negotiations, back and forth. So like if you are lucky, you have the money maybe 4 months later, but this is, I would say, quite optimistic. I don't know if somebody here made different experiences. I did not. So the runway is the thing you need to track. You have to know when the last cent is used, because otherwise you will have an issue quite quickly. And yeah, when to start? I mean, as I said, start directly from the beginning. Have a little cash overview. This can be very simple Excel sheet. You don't need to have an expensive tool here. Yeah, have a Excel template ready. You can find it as well in the toolbox. You can download from your account statement in the today already. I think every bank as a CSV file. You can upload into an Excel sheet, and yeah, make with simple things an easy cash overview. Have a regular sales meeting with the sales guys if you have already a sales guy, or if you're a sales guy by yourself. Check your pipeline, know what is coming. Be aware that that if customers have payment terms of 30 days or 60 days, that you consider this in your cash forecast. A signed contract doesn't mean that at this day the money is coming in. There are a lot of things to mention, but yeah, just at the beginning, exactly know what is flowing out and what is flowing in and when. Don't forget about taxes, VAT, prepayments, maybe salary and wages taxes. This shouldn't be a surprise. You should be aware of such kind of things.
Fantastic. Tina, what do you think about this product-wise?
Sorry, in terms of Runway and product, or
Yes, like you get first investment, let's call it the 50K that we are putting right now in the discussion, and how you start money-wise, how you start to build your product.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a broad question, but hopefully before you receive the 50K, you would have some sort of, whether it's wireframes or you've done some sort of testing on certain ideas that you already have. And then meticulously, once you have proper insights from your qualitative interviews in terms of what you think is the problem that you're really solving, then try to move that into either certain specific experiments that you want to run or designs that you want to build. And most importantly, we don't want to get UX perfection at this point. You want to double down on your efforts on having a really great UI UX experience once you know that it is working. So get something scrappy, not crappy, out there, so that it is, you just want your first hints of wins, and 3 or 4 don't necessarily mean that 100 will adopt. My advice has always been, and also this is something that I'm doing for Useristic as well, focus on your first 100 customers, paying customers. And once you get those 100, then you work towards your next 500 and 1,000. But go customer by customer, because by 100, you will have a good enough sense of, let's not try, it's important that you don't try to build for your 10,000, because by 10,000, you're going to have multiple segments. You're going to have different features that are required for different use cases. And you can't think of that at this point. So, I mean, other founders here also can hopefully have a similar experience, but more or less, I don't think this changes fundamentally, and going back to first principles. So having a pipeline for the most important pieces, what does the first 1-2 months look like? And not plan for too much, because the first 1-2 months will then feed into your month 3 and month 4, because there's not been a single early stage or even up to Series A startup where I have planned for like a whole year or even 6 months or even 3 months. Okay. I have planned for a quarter, but those plans have never been executed, because we work usually in sprints, and every sprint is 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks of tests, and then everything's changed again. So why waste the time planning when you want to be agile and be listening constantly. And also, just going back to the point on qualitative interviews, one of the reasons why I recommend qualitative interviews early on is, and so not surveys, because you don't have enough data sets or data points, or there's not much traction. So the survey numbers don't really count. It's the qualitative insights that will keep on feeding your experiments and your future development, or completely pivot to something new. And yeah, so just moving from sprint to sprint, or maybe max 2 sprints early stage, and being super agile is more important. Perfection is your enemy. What is good today is perfect tomorrow. This is just print this somewhere, write it in a piece of paper, and just paste it in front of your wall, so that you don't forget this, because you want to go ahead and, oh, just a little bit more. No, ship it today, right now.
Yes,
The
thanks,
profession is
thanks,
your
Tina.
enemy. Yes.
This is so true. I want to add something I learned during the program we did. So you've got one other product. So it's your landing page or your social media account. So you really need to design this well and do UX there as well, and get some traction, get some sign-up lists, so you can really see if your idea gets the interest of people. So you should, really put some energy there, and it's really highly important, because then you can prove to investors that you have traction, even though your product is not finished yet.
Exactly. We have a question. Anissa, you wanted to ask question?
No, I want to say ciao, ciao. Have a nice evening.
Okay, ciao, ciao. See you soon. Okay. Yeah, so what I like, Tina, that you mentioned, it's like focus on your first 100 users. And to be honest, it's very hard, because again, we're coming back to the very niche, local. So maybe let's talk about this, because and other, please, it's an open discussion. You can join in, because even when we build product, we never focus on one market in terms of like 100 people from the same, let's say, school when it's touch younger, or the same university, or the same even city, because we wanted the diversity also. So maybe can you share more what you mean about the first 100 users? It's like something you've built, like all case scenarios of users, or it's like the same group that you want to start with?
So I really like the technique of snowball, and you can do that for your qualitative interviews. You can do it for next users, next 3 users, next 4 users, or you call it snowballing, referral, whatever you want to do. Usually, if you have your first 2, 3, and ask them that do you think would be interested in the next bunch, or do you know of someone, and see if that snowballs. And then recruit one user at a time. Not immediately will all users want to become customers. So you are likely going to have 1,000 users and 100 customers, or whatever the conversion rate is going to be like. But moving slow, please note, and I'm telling this to you from very hard experience. I have over 14 years of experience, and specifically in startup, 8 to 10 years. And don't go on the hacks. Don't go on shortcuts. Slow is the new fast. There is a reason why there is a saying that says haste makes waste. Because, and Jana can vouch for this, that when you just run so fast early on, when you do get Series A and your due diligence happens, they will poke holes, they will find holes, and what could have gotten you 5 million funding will probably land you with 1.5 or 2. You can avoid that by just being a little slow, watching your steps, and being mindful. There is so much free advice on the internet, and advice for all is equal to advice for none. So make sure you're the CEO, you're the co-founder or the founder of the company. It is your job to really pause for a moment and see that does that advice really apply for you, your startup, your context, your market, your investor, and so on? So snowballing and being slow and thoughtful about your first 100 customers, even your first 5-10 employees, is very important. They are going to define your culture, and all of this is interrelated. So don't go on, somebody said, oh, they gave me this idea, let's do this. Why? What is your value? How does it fit into your roadmap? Does it even make sense? Because you're limited by resources, and you're going to go in one direction only to realize you're in the wrong side. Then you go U-turn, you've already lost time, and you don't have time. So spend a little extra time thinking, and then you should be in a much better place. And I cannot stress this enough.
Totally understand you. Alexandra, maybe you can share with us kind of like, how did you find your first customers?
I mean, it's really, so our product has to be developed with the customer, right? So it's super customizable, and we essentially take their data and then we develop the product. So yeah, we haven't had our 100 customers yet, unfortunately, but yeah, it's essentially, well, through the SIBB, we already got a network. We were able to reach out to companies that are in the SIBB network. And of course, it's easier to reach out when you're already part of the new startups. And essentially also there's a lot of associations of like KMU, like the small and media enterprises, and really just also spreading the word in the industries that we want to, like on LinkedIn, either approaching the people or making sure that our marketing is targeted at them, and really even going to the conferences, seeing who's there, networking with them. Yeah. So really get out there and get their contacts.
Put yourself out there. Absolutely. Yeah. So before we move on, anyone has a question?
I think I can add to what Alexandra says. So some products are really for some special customers and some special industries like health. So yeah, get out to their conventions and all the stuff where the important people meet, so they can. You need, the special contacts, so you can get them there, and we will support that. So we did this in the healthcare business. So we sent our team to the healthcare salon, where they meet all the Krankenkassen, so health insurance guys, and the pharma industry guys, and all this stuff. So yeah, that's a place to go, and yeah, online as well.
Yeah, and it's actually fascinating. Online, you can really reach anybody these days. I mean, of course, really a lot because of Corona, but it's like every industry has some sort of association or some sort of meeting area, or if it's like, sometimes I feel like it's even geographically distributed in Berlin, and it's like really, another tip would also be talk to startups who are doing maybe something similar, because actually everybody's quite supportive. Like, if you're already at a certain stage where you can show something or at least explain what is going on, in my experience, everybody is like, yes, of course, we can help each other out. Like,
and what I've learned from team's feedback is, but you have to have your act together. So you have to know how to approach those people and what to tell them. So really, you need to take the time to prepare. So that's what I've learned during the program.
And we will talk about cold emails as well, probably next time, to make them warm. Yes, Mehdi, you wanted to ask a question.
Yes, thank you. Actually, by hearing all these great insights from you, I am thinking that, so we can all agree that a startup is something that is built on a lot of uncertainty. But is there like a safe way or like a time of test so that we can understand if what we are thinking would be a great startup with end up into becoming a great business. Is it worth it to follow at all or not?
Jana, what do you think about this?
I mean, if you know, would be great, right? I think nobody knows.
Yeah. It's not a safe road that you can choose. Absolutely.
I would give it to Tina, because the answer is, if you can find, you need to what she said. You need to understand the problem first, and if you find some 5 people that really buy into your understanding of the problem and your possible solution, then you have a start. If you can't find those 5 people, then you are not onto anything.
And before Tina, sorry, and I can tell you, like, from the investor hat and from the founder hat, it's absolutely, if you're not in a place that you are crazy and burning from the inside, that you want to change something and you know that you can do it the best way and you have the right team with you, just don't do it until you feel this, because it's absolutely not the safe road for life. It's not the easiest one, and it's not the calm one, But this is why we're always talking about the mindset, the mindfulness, the well-being, because it's all came together. And this is, honestly, let's talk about this. We all said that we build a safe zone. There's no I would say safe road, or no one giving you anything unless you claim it, but you claim it because you know you are the best to execute and deliver. So you have to convince yourself before you convince others.
So what I get is that you're saying that you should really put yourself into doing it, like following it, going through all the difficulties that it might have, so that you actually make something out of it. But and at the same time, you need to know really that you are the person to do it. So is there at least some kind of criteria, maybe like a checklist of questions that you should be asking yourself to see if you are the one to take this idea ahead?
Can I answer that?
Absolutely.
So one is to your first question, how do you know? The market will tell you. That's the only way to know. So which means you have to put something out there, because people are not mind readers. And the way you envision your product and its utility, the market will tell you if this is worth it or not, and you have to keep going. That's one. And as far as the checklist, whether you are on the right track or not, a list of questions, I think this is the wrong direction that you're going, to be very blunt. The reason why is, one, first of all, if you're founders are crazy. So if you're starting a company, understand, are you really crazy enough to lose sleep? Are you really crazy enough to say that tomorrow when I have to make tough choices, I can make it? If those answers are yes, then there's another question. Are you crazy enough? Are you sure that you are okay with being uncomfortable in probably 8 or 9 times? There are so many meetings I go to and I feel like I don't know this. But does that mean you're not a good founder? No, it means that you have a vision. You are willing to accept that there are many things in this world that you don't know, and you're not going to have the expertise. But if you are comfortable enough in knowing that you don't know, and going out there and talking to someone who knows and saying, hey, listen, I have a vision. This is what I want to do. What do you think about it? Let the people who have been there, done that before, who have the expertise, come and tell you the mistakes that have happened so you can avoid that. And then you make the decision. And you don't have to solve the entire problem in one go. It's like a long drawn equation. You take one part of the problem, solve one equation, then the other, then put it together and see what comes out of it. It's like saying that, okay, I want to make a cake. I have never baked before. Do you think it'll be tasty? We don't know.
And you know why I love it? Because actually, Midi, I gave you some present for me link in the chat. So go through it and you definitely mirror everything to yourself. But this is why we love, as an investor, also the serial entrepreneur, because they did mistakes, they failed, they came, they're smarter, they're safer, they're crazy enough, as Tina mentioned, you know, and this is why we always said, like, you have to put yourself out there, because if you're so scared of making mistakes and you say, I will never make a mistake, you will never be successful.
Yes,
Only by making mistakes, but in the same moment you learn, you don't do it twice, and you know, kind of like jump up at the same moment. So you learn from making mistakes, and that's the best journey.
Yes, yes, definitely. Truly appreciate the insights from all of you. Thank you from like my heart.
We are the crazy one, that's for sure. Ron, I would like to give you the stage, kind of like we have, I would say 15 minutes, because I would love to hear from you as well, success stories from people, from your observation, that came through the program. I would say things that they reach out through the program. Where are they maybe today? So people can have much more, I would say, observation of what the program can give them, on top of everything we mentioned: community, mentorship, access to experts, go without saying, workspace, because hey, we have a house as well. So there's a lot of things we can talk about. We absolutely here to I would say, to sort any challenges, but what you can share with us from, you know, previous cohorts as well.
Yeah, maybe we can just quickly go through them. So I have my, you know, I don't know if I'm supposed to have one, but my absolute favorite team is they started out really as, you know, really early stage. One founder that had this idea, and since she and when she once she heard about our program, she, oh, do you see my, how do I get this? All right, once she started to get her team online, so she was actually successful to put together a team really short term, 3 months or so. And then they started from scratch, and it was a really complicated project because it included hardware. So she was able to she came actually out of PR industry and was, you know, working, has lots of work experience, but not a technical background. So she didn't have any idea about that. But she found a team. She found a female developer, and she found actually a hardware, designer / scientist that is in her other time is working on rocket on space satellites and all this stuff, rocket science, as we say, call it. Yeah, and she got it off the ground. During the program, they got to design their first prototype. You can see here. They got an investor. They got an amazing outreach via social media and press coverage. So she was experienced. That was her expertise, actually. And we led her through the program, set her up with lots of contacts and support, 3D printing, you name it, expert coaches, whatever they needed, they got it through us. They pulled through, and they're really successful, and they have plenty of pre-orders, amazing products. So yeah. Not just a jewel. And what they started with, and maybe that's what you could learn from it, is they started with a simple mission and a vision. So a founder, really highly dedicated and motivated founder with a, you know, mission and vision. And yeah, she pulled it through and is successful now. Another team, maybe Yuna. Oh yeah, she got funding as well, fashion industry. So she's actually a highly dedicated founder as well. She yeah, got the tech team, technology guys, and yeah, market guys with our program.
She actually during the program changed the team. This is also something she learned through the program.
Yeah, actually, yeah. So it's kind of some flexibility is built in there, but yeah. So she got on the program with her idea. She invested some more time, and then she used the program to get it really off the ground and to get some market entry, because it wasn't easy. Yeah, to get this idea across investors, fashion and other stuff. Yeah, for the current teams, we can maybe show Kovala. Yeah, they have the chance to bootstrap. So this is a highly technical product. And yeah, some really typical nerds. So we take all male teams as well, if they justify, with the quality of the application and the product. Yeah, they left us actually because they got some funding already after 6 months, and with a ready product and some really high profile first customers as well. We can see it in the use cases, maybe data science, yeah, your clients, destination. So yeah, those are some examples to how we get the startups off the ground in the program.
Perfect. And yeah, I see some logos that I recognize. Perfect. Anyone want to ask questions before we wrap up and give the speakers to give you last tips?
Maybe raised his hand.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this environment, and I would like to know, I saw the LinkedIn profiles of some of you that they kindly added to the chat. I want to know if it's okay to reach you out in the next few days and ask for tips on our ideas, maybe.
Of course, I mean, just talking about myself, totally fine. I'm happy to listen.
Absolutely. Feel free to connect. LinkedIn is a great place to read. Just give a reference that this is where we met, so that you're accepted quickly. And of course, I also have a calendar invite if you want to schedule 30 minutes call either. I sent out the link and already a few slots have gone. So yeah, feel free to reach out, and we are here to help.
Fantastic. And Tina and Jana and everyone are here absolutely to support. That's the beauty. And of course, Ron. So feel free to ask questions, to send questions, also only for like one-on-one discussion and to share if you can apply. I see a lot of also private question in the chat, so feel free to make them public. All good. Everyone can learn from your questions as well. So kind of like to sum up the discussion today, and for me, I'm really taking we have to be the crazy one. We have to be very, very, very precise of what we want to reach out, what we want to achieve. This is the entrepreneurial mindset, but on the same time, don't push too hard and don't over-engineer the product, but yes, over-engineer the financial. So you have to find a balance, what to be very, I would say, precise with, and what sometime to let go and let the market speak to you as well. And Tina, I will give you the stage for last words.
Well, I think I spoke a lot, though I did not plan to.
So you don't have to apologize.
I think just to summarize, as a founder, and I've been a founder twice, I was private messaging Jana and saying that, I have my bruises, I'm burnt, those scars are everywhere in my heart, in my soul. And part of the reasons I started Useuristics is because I wish I had something like this when I was in my early days and otherwise as well. But just a few things to keep in mind is as a founder, your intuition is very, very important. Intuition is basically, sorry if you hear my dog in the background, he's saying hi. But intuition is basically all the data that you've been collecting over your years is now processing so fast and giving you insights. And a lot of founders, especially women, I cannot emphasize this, especially women, let go of it and don't listen to it. So make sure you're making a note of it and really applying, because I have had so many instances, that could be another webinar in itself, where the quantitative evidence was giving me in a direction, but I chose the opposite, and that gave me like 100x return. And nobody could figure out why it happened, but I just knew that it was not what we needed to do. Follow evidence and not listening to something that you felt was right can really be harmful. So build your founder instincts, be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and what you don't know. The environment is very dynamic. And the last thing is, don't forget, slow is the new fast, and there is no shortcut.
Thank you, Tina. And I agree, we should definitely do like a full banner or discussion regarding this, and we probably will do it also during the program and give more to the team.
Mali, I forgot to say this, but thank you very much to SIBB, to WLOUNGE and Mali and Jana and Alexandra and all of the participants here. I am so happy and privileged that I get to share this forum with you. So thank you very, very much. I love the energy. It has way exceeded my expectations.
We love having you here, honestly. Thank you, Tina. Yeah, Ron, I also want to do it. I will check. Oh, yeah. Okay, I learned how to clap. Yes, Jana.
Yeah, I said already to Tina, I cannot stop nodding when she is talking. So I really can only highlight this as well. Walk slowly when you are in a hurry. But I want to say as well, I mean, we heard now a lot of what is good to build a product and of course how to build finance. And yes, I fully support start finance very early, but in the same time, be brave and start your idea. I mean, what I don't want is that you are now even more afraid of what to do and what to do. This will all come along the way. But just start if you have a vision, if you see it. And yes, of course, we are talking a lot about business, but let's talk about as well about your mindset. If you see it already, if you feel it, if you want to do something, if you want to create impact, do it. There are so many great people. There are so many great ideas in this world, and a lack of finance should not stop you going ahead and proceeding. So as Tina said, there are experts. Don't save money here. I mean, this is really important to ask people they know what to do and focus on your idea and on your startup. So I really want to say, go ahead and do what you have a vision for, or follow your vision.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can only back that. Alexandra.
Yeah, Tina, I think it's great that you just mentioned intuition, because I wanted to mention it earlier. And then I was like, no, this is like a female event, and that's kind of gonna feed into the stereotype that's like women are always talking about intuition. But I also had so many occasions where I was just like, yeah, my gut feeling from the very beginning has said that, like, after quantitatively, yeah, like, you see something different. So, and for me, that really plays into the idea of like really make sure that you get along with the people, with your co-founders, and your investors. It's like, I think if you work so closely with somebody, you really have to go get along as a human, because otherwise it's just not going to work out. If it's, it is so important. And that's just listen to the intuition, sit down with yourself before you, also slow down before you take the decisions, whether you want to go this path with that person, because it's going to be rocky. And actually, maybe the major tip would be really have a conflict with your co-founders, and then you can see whether you can go along. I mean, that's not something you're going to know after the first meeting, but I think conflict and feedback is so important. And that's also like what I really learned doing the SIBB program. So thank you, Ron. And Mario and Urte, and I don't know, I don't think they're here, right? But
not today.
Just be open for feedback, be coachable. So I think we don't really learn that in German schools.
Yes, we don't.
Feedback culture is not really something that we learn in high school, and that's really a pity, because it really brings you forward. And it's like, when I have that with friends, it's like, you want to push your friends, but then they're like, I don't want to fight with you. And I'm like, I'm also not fighting.
Exactly.
You can just do better, you know?
The communication. But Jana, Alexandra, I want you to show the ball that you have. Because like, this is so funny that I see it at the moment you say, you know, mental health, take care of yourself, trust your intuition, because this is actually what we received as a present, yes, from Audi during the session, because this is what they're doing also in the Werkstatt, you know. So that was like actually a best timing to show the ball. Yes, and it's all connected. Absolutely. And thank you so much for this word. The last thing for me, I can say that absolutely, I think that I'm highlighting a lot as WLOUNGE, but also as Mali, this program, because the people in this program, it's literally the walk the talk. It's really the commitment to have diverse team, to have diverse cohort, and to make a change. And we all know that diverse team are outperforming. And this is something that I want to say thank you, Ron, for the trust and for the craziness, because we are the crazy one, and we are changing culture, we're changing industry. But on the same time, we really want to support the winners of tomorrow. And I think we're doing really greatly together, you know, with all the ingredients and the experts and the mentorship and everything in between. So the last things from my side is that we will do it a lot. We will do it, I would say, more and more, because eventually we have to have this safe zone, as Tina mentioned, and I always think it, I wish I had that when I was 26 and I started my first company. You know, someone to ask, someone to have for 30 minutes call, and someone to reach out. And this is the best, I think, the biggest message out of today. And Ron, we would like to hear you as well.
Yeah, I would just close out with a referral to the mental health, because I think that's one more point that sets us, in my opinion, really apart, because we've learned a lot, and we have you know, really great people in the team, and we will have in the program 2 more focus points, so you will get some mental and physical and mental well-being workshops, so that you know from early on that you get to know how to care for yourself. And sustainability is the other one. So, you know, you get to broaden your horizon and learn different things as well that are more and more important in this crazy world out there. All right, that's from me.
Thank you so much, everyone. If anyone has something to say, you have our emails, you have our approach. I think we are truly easy to reach out. Definitely the experts that we have today from the community. Thank you so much for the time, for the sharing, for the openness. And I know that we are in it for the long run. And have a great evening, everyone. Thanks a lot.